Welcome to Comicgeddon,
where comics and television collide.
We're your hosts. I'm Shannon.
I'm John Wise.
And today we're going to be going over a few shows that we watched this past week, comic book TV shows. The Walking Dead, Supernatural, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash. Was there an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this past week?
No. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on a mid-season hiatus.
I may have you go over what's happened so far this season then.
Next week.
Next week?
I have to catch up.
Alright.
I'm caught up, I just got to refresh.
First, before we do that, while we've been waiting to film, I overheard John talking to some of his customers here at Geeking Out Comics.
2924 North Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Decatur, Illinois. I had to plug that, sorry.
It's fine, man. I was going to have you do it at the end anyway.
Have you seen my podcasts?
Yes, I have. I was in a podcast.
Number count.
I never got.
I may actually do that to you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So I overheard John talking to some of his customers about how the Deadpool movie has affected his business while we were waiting to shoot today. So tell us a little bit about that.
Deadpool. If you haven't seen the movie, first off, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go and see it, because I know Shannon's waiting for a double date. Go see it and then double date. That's my thought.
My brother would kill me, man.
He doesn't have to know.
Well, he will now. He's going to watch this.
I'll vouch for you. Saw it opening night. Awesome movie. I've seen it twice. I know people have already seen it 3 times and 5 times. But even before the Deadpool movie came out, I couldn't keep a single thing on the shelf Deadpool. So if you're looking for anything Deadpool, by all means, come in and check things out. Right now I have a Deadpool bank and a Deadpool imported Lego figure. That's about it. You might find some uncanny X-Force with Deadpool in it. That's about it. So, and this is the story, not just with this comic book store, but a lot of comic book stores are having a hard time keeping anything Deadpool in the store. So just to kind of give you a heads up, Deadpool is hot right now.
It outperformed Star Wars.
Opening night, it outdid Star Wars. It also outdid every other R-rated movie.
And they're now talking about having Superman vs. Batman being R-rated now because of
the
Deadpool.
Blu-ray. The Blu-ray, I heard, is going to be unrated. So, I mean, Deadpool has affected a lot of comic book movies. Now, hopefully it doesn't affect the ones that shouldn't be affected.
Right.
Because they're wanting to make Wolverine a rated R, finally.
Yeah.
But when you go out and you say, oh, we're going to do a rated R Avengers, or we're going to do a rated R Spider-Man, we're going to do a rated R, we don't need those.
Superman needs to be family friendly.
Batman needs to be on the verge of family friendly and R. So maybe PG-13?
A hard PG-13.
A hard PG-13, maybe close to an R, but yeah. But when you get a Superman and Batman movie together, that needs to be PG-13 for sure. That's a smart idea, doing the unrated Blu-ray for home, and then doing the theatrical release PG-13. But kudos to the filmmakers for Deadpool, because they were going R all the way. Definitely, if you've read any comic books, Deadpool is a rated R comic book. It's a mature title. Kids come in here, when I do have them try to buy them, I'm like, I need your parents to come in.
Yeah, last thing you want is, you fucking sold my kids.
What is this? What is this? Well, that's Deadpool cutting a guy's head off and laughing about it, making him talk like a puppet.
You wouldn't let your kids watch The Walking Dead. Why would you let them read a Deadpool?
I want to rethink that. There's been plenty of parents coming in here who say, oh yeah, it's a family event.
I don't even let my 13-year-old daughter watch.
Every Sunday, 13, 12, 10, I've had parents come in with their 7-year-olds. Like, do you have any Walking Dead comics? I'm like, yeah, and here, it's over there, go get one. And if you're a fan of the show and you're a fan of the comics, into comic books, the show is graphic. The show is gory. The comics are worse.
Yeah. The comics would be like rated TVMA.
I mean, there's a scene in the comic book where a woman, I want to say, who gets shot with a shotgun through the stomach, and she's pregnant. Dragon's Ore power. Don't ask.
So this past Sunday on The Walking Dead, we had a hellacious episode. It takes place 2 months after the previous episode. Carl's finally healed up. They skipped over the whole part where he was in a coma, and lost his memory.
Well, that would have been kind of Carl injured in coma part 2.
Yeah.
Because they did that with Herschel.
Yeah.
And they've probably done that again in between. Carl needs to just wear a freaking bicycle helmet. The kid's always getting hurt. If he's not running off, if he's not running off going, Daddy, or Mommy, or I'm going to play with a zombie.
Or sitting on a roof eating a big old can of pudding.
Hey, I envied that episode. I wanted a big old can of pudding because I need it.
Well, they've got it for sale, you know.
It's a bag. They actually handed those out on Talking Dead and stuff. It was cool. Which, by the way, brings me to a point. If you're watching Walking Dead and not watching Talking Dead after, get on it. Me too. Because my girlfriend was totally against the first couple seasons that they did Talking Dead, and I made her sit down and watch an episode. I think it was with Kevin Smith on there. And from that episode on, she gets pissed off when she misses it, has to go to work and miss it.
Yeah.
So, catch Talking Dead, you get a lot of little tidbits, like when Rick is carrying Carl after he gets shot in the eye, that's actually a dummy, but a really done FX dummy, and it looked just like it.
Yeah,
I mean, team
excellent special effects.
Kudos to Rick Baker.
Also, this past Sunday, we had Rick and Daryl found Jesus.
As did
Rick and Michonne. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Did you happen to see the spoof video someone did of Rick and Daryl going after Jesus with the Benny Hill?
Which is funny because that was a request by Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
Talking Dead. He goes, somebody go out there and make the Benny Hill video for this because it's going to be funny. And it was hilarious.
All they had to do was speed it up a little bit to make it match.
And maybe occasionally have a few half-naked girls walk across.
Yeah.
That would have been just 100% kudos.
And so after Rick and Daryl found Jesus, Jesus lights off some fireworks in the back. I knew this was coming. He steals the truck that Rick and Daryl got. Why did Rick and Daryl leave their car, their sports car, at the place where they found the truck? Why didn't one of them drive the truck?
One drive the truck, one drive the car. Because it wouldn't have been funny.
True.
It wouldn't have been funny. That whole episode was hilarious. We needed, after the first, when we got the mid-season return, we needed another episode like this to kind of lighten things up a little bit. Because that was kind of an intense episode. So.
And then they get the truck back, and Rick parks it by the lake. He actually takes the time to back it up right on the edge of the lake.
Well, let's not forget, before that, they thought they left Jesus tied in the middle of the road, where in a knot that it would take him a couple hours to get out. Where it didn't take him a couple hours because apparently he's got the speed force in him. Because next thing you know, he's on top of the freaking roof.
With a name like Jesus, apparently you can.
You probably he went like, and boom, he's on the.
Why didn't he just walk on water and get the truck back out?
We don't know if he's not going to do that.
True.
He'd be like, actually, you know what? They're saved. They're saved. They have a lake full of zombie water. He can turn it into zombie wine.
There you go. So
previous episode.
So after they get the truck and Rick takes the time to back it up while Daryl's chasing Jesus around. Daryl's chasing Jesus.
He found him!
Praise Jesus. Something happens.
Not even Jesus. It's Jesus.
Yeah. Something happens and the truck just goes into the pond.
Well, it's what happened when Jesus and Daryl were fighting in the truck after their game of tag. Somebody hit the neutral, and it was on a slant. It just started to back into the lake.
It was pointless to even get the truck in the first place.
If it wasn't for the truck, they wouldn't have met Jesus.
That's true.
It was divine intervention.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we were talking a little bit earlier about how in the comics, it eventually gets revealed that Jesus is homosexual. We don't know if he's homosexual or bisexual or what. Which there's nothing wrong with.
We don't, but in the book, I think he is just straight out. He's homosexual. He's gay.
And we were talking about how, what if later on in the show, Rick and Jesus, Daryl and Jesus
kind of.
What if Daryl finds Jesus in another way?
Well, there was talk a couple seasons. I think it was a couple seasons back, because it was revealed that Daryl might possibly be gay or bi. which Norman Reedus had actually stated he would be okay if the character was bi or gay.
I think they should make him bi rather than full on gay, because
if he ends up with Jesus before he ends up with Carol first, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going.
Carol's cookies. You ever been over and look at the flowers?
Billy's here.
He's missing all the fun.
I know, but actually, I think the women would be pissed when he gets with Carol.
Yeah.
Before any of them.
And if he gets with Jesus, women are going to be pissed anyway.
Now we have to put cheese and crackers because we're showing in the store.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. Pause.
Okay.
Okay, we're just talking about Ben and Carol over and watching the flowers.
Okay.
Continue.
Michonne follows Spencer out into the woods. She's not quite sure what Spencer's doing out there.
Well, nobody was. He's just kind of being Spencer and being totally erratic, and apparently that's what it seemed.
And at the same time, Carl follows Enid out there.
Again, I'm trying to like Enid, but she's making it really hard.
Yeah.
She's kind of becoming the Laura of the show. Rick's now deceased half-zombie wife, whatever.
I think they're going to make her into kind of what Carol's daughter was in the comics.
Yeah. They need a Carol replacement.
And so Carl and Enid end up running into Deanna.
Who's Deanna?
Deanna's been zombified.
Deanna zombie, yes.
Enid gets ready to kill her, but Carl tells her no, let her go.
Go back to town.
It's eventually revealed towards the end that Michonne knew that Carl let her go.
Carl let her go. Led Deanna to her son.
Michonne and Spencer. So that Spencer could
take care of
family business, which I don't completely disagree with.
I don't either. I mean, it was some. If you're able to do that, go for it.
Carl killed his own mother after.
And that's how we become a man.
Yeah. So also, let's see. Finally, at the end of the show,
Michonne!
Rick's got jungle fever.
And it brought mints to bring them together.
And all I can say about that is I wish they would have shown the end scene from Jesus' perspective.
Jesus has been found again. That's how good the sex is. When you find Jesus.
Yeah, Rick and Michonne found Jesus. This is so good. So, what would you rate this episode of Walking Dead?
That's one of the top episodes. That's the last episode I gave it like a near perfect 10. It was a 9.5. This one I'm going to go ahead and actually probably give it the same, about 9.5.
I'll say close to a 10 as well. My wife hasn't really been too impressed with The Walking Dead the past couple seasons. It's been kind of slow. It hasn't really been very intense. It's starting to build back up that intensity. Now that we're getting ready to get into the Negan storyline. Who's Negan?
Who's Negan? Nibble on that for a while. I know this was last episode. We really need to touch on the beginning.
Where
5 minutes of the last episode, the mid-season return, where they basically replay Negan's people finding Daryl, wanting to take their stuff out of the truck. He sends Daryl, with a minion behind the truck to grab whatever's back there. Rocket launcher.
And of course, what's his name?
It'd be Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham. Man of a million questions. Who's Negan? What? Why should we give you our... I told you no more questions.
And he was just about with Abraham. And Sasha?
Yeah.
Sasha?
Yeah.
Is getting ready to
pull the trigger.
Bullet. Kaboom!
All you
just
see
like
is body parts everywhere. It looks like minced hamburger.
Daryl comes out with this rocket launcher, just like, ready? And we're off. Credits.
Greatest scene in The Walking Dead ever.
It's on YouTube. You can watch it over and over and over again. It's worth watching. Fast forward to what's...
All right. So next on the agenda is Supergirl. I know John doesn't watch Supergirl.
I need to. I know they've introduced Martian Manhunter, a horrible Tin Man, Red Tornado looking character, and I know they're going to do a Brainiac Supergirl. And
yeah, kind of. It's actually going to be Laura Vandervoort is going to play Indigo. Laura Vandervoort played Supergirl in Smallville. She's going to play Indigo, which is like a female version of Brainiac, who was imprisoned in Fort Ross.
Now, the episode that makes me want to go back and watch everything and catch up is, of course, they're going to be doing a Flash Supergirl crossover.
We'll talk more about the Flash in just a little bit, but this past week on Supergirl, Supergirl fought the Master Jailer. He was a prison guard at Fort Ross. All the other prison guards were killed in the escape. He was the only one left. So he went to Earth and started tracking down all the former inmates. Jimmy Olsen and some of her other friends are talking about telling her she should release Maxwell Lord from the DEO prison. Nobody knows where Max Lord is right now. The public doesn't know where Max Lord is because he discovered Supergirl's secret identity and has been trying to basically destroy her. So they locked him up.
So is he kind of her Lex Luthor?
Pretty much, he's basically the Lex Luthor of Supergirl.
Okay.
I don't really. They should have played more towards the comics with Max Lord's character, made him more like a Trojan horse, like he was in the comics. Kat also is tired of Kara, however you pronounce her name.
I'm tired of that Cat Grant. So.
Tired of her basically skimming out on her responsibilities and everything, so she hires a second assistant, which turns out to be Siobhan Smythe, who, as comic readers know, becomes the Silver Banshee. And there's a lot of animosity between her and Kara right off the bat. She's a can I say?
Sure.
She's a kiss ass. Yeah. Let's see. Jimmy tries to convince Kara to release Maxwell Lord. Kara defeats the Master Jailer and ends up releasing Max. And one of the things he says is, "But I know your identity, why would you release me when you know I could possibly take your identity public?" And she's like, "Well, you do that and we'll send all this information we've gathered on you to the proper authorities and you'll be put in prison." So he's like, okay, so it's a catch-22 basically. Running joke in the show is Superman's face. All season long, they talk about Superman. They show him either from the waist down or from the back of the head or whatever.
I did hear rumors going about, and he'd be willing to do it. Also, is Tom Welling?
Yeah. Tom Welling would
make as Superman.
Tom Welling would make the perfect Superman.
They do it for that universe.
Yeah, I didn't care the way they ended the story.
Nobody cared how they ended it.
But if you go back and read Superman, what was it? I think it is the first couple issues of Superman Birthright,
I was just thinking Birthright.
The younger version of Clark Kent
Year one.
looks identical to Tom Welling.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm not too sure about in the Supergirl series is how they did Hank Henshaw. Hank Henshaw is the Martian Manhunter.
In the comic books, he's an elderly gentleman.
He's a Reed Richards ripoff.
Basically, except he's a villain who later gets turned into, uses Kryptonian technology to become a cyborg to fool everybody after Superman's death, to fool everybody into believing that he's the real Superman come back. And half his face is like all Terminator, and half his body's all metal skeleton. And
eventually he takes control of the Manhunters.
But yeah, he ends up he ended up finding out he's a big ploy, him along with Mongo.
He destroyed Coast City.
Causing other events to happen in Green Lantern. He later takes over the Manhunters. He becomes a Yellow Lantern.
So would you say that Hank Henshaw is responsible for Parallax?
Indirectly. Parallax has always been an entity that existed. He was put in the big battery charger on Oa in prison, which is why the other Green Lantern's weaknesses was yellow.
Right.
Sinestro would get thrown in, trapped in the battery. In there, Sinestro meets Parallax and makes to where Parallax can be, I guess, somehow into Hal Jordan's ring whenever he used it, and that's how it ended up affecting him.
And now Sinestro is Parallax.
See, I haven't read Sinestro.
Sinestro is Parallax now. After he disbanded the Sinestro Corps and destroyed the Sinestro Lantern, massive one.
Oh. See, I missed some storylines.
He is there. Parallax now. So back to Supergirl. Fun fact, the girl who plays Siobhan Smythe, the Silver Banshee, is Robbie Amel's fiance.
Really? Yes, it is.
And Robbie Amell played Firestorm on The Flash.
The Flash. He was on The Flash.
Season 1.
He
played Deathstorm
Legends of Tomorrow.
No, it was on Flash.
Was it on Flash?
Yeah, it was on Earth 2. Earth 2.
You're right.
When I first saw...
Their portrayal of Deathstorm, by the way, just throwing it out there.
No, I didn't really care for that either. And a big thing with this episode of Supergirl is Jimmy is debating on telling Lucy Lane the truth about Supergirl.
He wouldn't do that. See,
He actually told Kara that if him and Lucy Lane are going to succeed in a relationship, he's got to tell her the truth about who Supergirl really is.
See, that's one of my big problems with the show. I watched the first episode, and then I had a big problem with the characterization of Jimmy. His personality is totally wrong.
Yeah.
Cat Grant's personality, again, totally wrong.
Yeah. The fact that Jimmy actually knows Superman's identity for all these years.
Wrong.
I like the idea of Jimmy knowing who Superman really is.
Because he's good pal.
Yeah, but having that introduced right off the bat,
Because he can deduce who Supergirl is,
Yeah.
but doesn't agree with it.
I'll give this episode, probably a 5.
I'll have to agree with him because I didn't see it.
Yeah. Next on the list is The Flash.
I've seen that one.
Last week on The Flash, we finally got see Earth 2.
We saw, a few weeks ago, we saw Earth 2. We met Earth 2 Barry. We
Killer Frost,
Deathstorm. We met Earth 2 Iris.
Yeah, Earth 2 5, which went by the name of... who's his name?
That's a good question. It was Earth 2 Vibe.
Yeah.
And he was a bad guy. Really, he knew his powers.
Yeah.
He put Vibe to shame.
Yeah.
And he was geeking out on himself, which was really cool.
Right. So in this week's Flash, Wells, Cisco, and Barry agreed not to discuss anything about Earth 2 because of everything that happened. Deathstorm, Robbie Amell's character, was killed by Zoom.
Well, I just want to touch on real quick. Deathstorm.
Okay.
As soon as we're on Deathstorm, I have no objection to Deathstorm being Earth 2 Robbie and all that. But if they weren't going to use the skull face, they should at least use the blue flame.
Right.
They got the black outfit, but they didn't use the blue flame. And they needed to portray him just a little better. And it was a disappointment because so far the Flash has been pretty much on top with costumes, or at least honoring the original costumes somehow in the comics. I was a little disappointed.
I would like to see the Flash with the yellow boots, though.
Yeah, I think it's coming.
I hope so.
He needs a little bit more yellow, not enough yellow.
We know now that Lila, which is Diggle's, would you say wife? They were married, but are Diggle and Lila married still? Or remarried? They've got a kid together who ends up becoming, wait for it, his son ends up becoming Connor Hawk.
That's right. We're talking about Arrow now.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Flash, so that's why I was saying wait for it, but you kind of looked at me like...
I was like, I thought we were on Flash. We're talking about Arrow now.
Well,
Yeah,
Diggle and Lila were on the Flash, though. Lila is
That's
now the director of Argus because former director Amanda Waller was murdered.
Dead. They killed Amanda Waller. And again, disagree because it goes back to the whole Suicide Squad. Characters from Suicide Squad can't be in Arrow or Flash or anywhere else on TV. So they had to kill Amanda Waller. Same reason why they killed Deathstroke or Deadshot.
Now, you may know a little bit more about Argus than I do.
No.
No? All right. Well, it's a secret government agency that deals with metahumans,
I think
aliens.
it's an offshoot of
The DEO.
Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Cisco tells Caitlin about her being Killer Frost in Earth 2, and there's this whole thing about Cisco's constantly keeping an eye on Caitlin because he thinks she's going to turn into Killer Frost. Barry tells Iris and Joe about their Earth 2 counterparts, and at first Joe is like, oh wow, I was this lounge singer, and blah, 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 and then he finds out his counterpart was killed.
And his counterpart didn't like Barry either.
Right.
They didn't like each other, apparently.
Right. Because the Iris in Earth 2 became a cop to further Barry Earth 2's career.
Side note, Barry Earth 2 is very much a dork.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have much traction on...
You want me to climb the ice mountain? I don't have traction. These are slip shoot. Yeah, that was...
Finally, we'll talk about Zoom. The big reveal occurred this week on Flash on who Zoom is. He finally removed his mask to reveal...
Jay Garrick.
Yes.
Which is weird because
He was carrying Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick fought Jay Garrick and he was carrying Jay Garrick.
And there was another Jay Garrick in prison.
And I think Jay, did they reveal that? He's the guy in the metal mask?
They kind of did because that's when he was tapping.
You see the blonde hair.
He was tapping and doing the military code.
Right.
And it spelled out Jay.
That's my theory is that's Jay Garrick. So how many Jay Garricks do we have running around?
Well, we got Jay Garrick from Earth 1, who we're thinking is Hunter Zolomon from... Jay Garrick from... Yeah.
Well, the Jay Garrick in Earth 1 apparently doesn't have any powers. This is a normal guy. He's basically like Barry in Earth 2.
They assume. They never actually confirmed that he doesn't have powers.
He could also be Zoom.
Yes.
He could very well be Zoom. We have Jay Garrick
from Earth 2,
whose powers are going on and off, randomly.
And then there's another Jay Garrick who's...
Possibly Jay Garrick in the metal mask on Earth 2 imprisoned.
Who may be the... starts with an R. What's his name?
He was
the Rival.
The Rival.
Yes. The Rival.
We're old. We can have brain farts. Don't judge.
I got gray hair coming. My beard. I dyed my beard.
I have no hair except for this, so you don't want to see it's not pretty.
So in 1 month's time, we touched on this a little bit earlier, the Flash will appear on Supergirl.
Yeah.
At the end of March.
So I might actually watch that episode.
I think it's like March 25th or something like that.
Yeah. I think they're taking a brief break now, aren't they?
Everyone's on hiatus right now.
I think Agent Carter's getting ready to end, because next month Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s coming back on. So that's going to be really cool. I don't think you're the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. No, I'm the...
I caught the first few episodes of season 1.
I stuck with him the very first episode. I love this from the first episode.
I don't know, it seemed more like... It started to become more like Smallville, where you had the superpowered freak of the week.
That's pretty much the start of almost every first season series like that. It got good towards the end. Second season was better. As soon as Captain America: Winter Soldier came out, and they had the big, everybody's with Hydra, don't trust anybody. That's when the series really took off, caught its stride, and now they're doing the Inhumans thing.
So now, this week's episode of Arrow. Let's go back to Flash real quick.
I have to catch up on this week's Arrow like I saw last week's, and I heard a little bit about it this week.
Let's go back to Flash real quick.
I run a business, I remember.
What would you rate the Flash?
The Flash.
This past week's episode.
This past week's Flash, from what I've read, I'll give it a solid 7.5. When I see it, I'll put another rating out there probably. But
I'd say it was probably about an 8. The reveal wasn't that surprising.
It wasn't surprising. Everybody kind of figured it was him. It was Garrick.
So let's go back to Arrow now. this past week on Arrow, Damien Dark reveals that he has William. Who's William, John?
That would be the son of Oliver Queen, who should actually be Connor Hawk.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he has him. We saw that last week. He introduced him to his daughter. That was the big cut end credits, and then we get this episode. I believe you just said he reveals that he has it, so he's gonna try making him throw the race.
Yeah. Oliver Queen did actually drop out of the mayor's race, and they discovered where Damien Dark was and had William at.
And this is the mid-season finale, or a few weeks episode finale.
Yeah.
We just had a mid-season with 2 episodes, and we're back on a break.
Right. So Felicity, at the end of the episode, ends the engagement with Oliver because Oliver lied to her and didn't tell her about William, which was heartbreaking, but at the same time...
We also knew it was kind of coming.
Yeah.
Because it happened before.
Right.
He reversed time.
But at the same time, it pissed her off enough to where she got up out of her wheelchair and walked.
Without the chip?
With the chip.
Well, she had the chip in her.
She has no chip in her that
Very cool.
Mr. Terrific made for her.
That is Mr. Terrific.
It is Mr. Terrific.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. Let's see. It's discovered that Malcolm Merlin is the one that actually kidnapped William for Dark.
I noticed that, yeah. He's been working with Dark, and we don't know why.
It's because Oliver cut his hand off.
It is,
And lost the League of Assassins for him. Which caused Thea to disown her father. Let's see here. We also see the live action version of Vixen. And they actually make a joke about that, where Oliver says, about a year ago we had an animated adventure together.
Because there was a whole one-shot animated adventure together. Yeah, it's cool.
They discover where Damien Dark is pulling William, and they discover that all his power is because of this totem that's similar to Vixen's totem. And Vixen gets the strength of a gorilla and starts smashing this totem, and finally, after like 10 times of trying to hit it against the ground, finally shatters. He tries to use his powers on Oliver. Oliver's got the arrow pointed at him. Nothing. He's like, well, that's odd. And Oliver just goes up and knocks him out. Let's see. Oliver actually sends William and William's mom away and tells William's mom not to even tell Oliver where they're going, to keep them safe.
Very good.
So overall, I would give this episode of Arrow, it was kind of obvious what was going to happen.
But satisfying.
Yeah. I would give it probably a 7.
7 works.
And also, William's mom knows Oliver is the Green Arrow.
So there we go.
Next up is Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Have you watched Legends of Tomorrow yet?
I've read a lot of the stuff, so I'm trying to prepare, because again, a few episodes behind. I run a business, don't judge. But yeah, we get to see
It takes
Future
place in
Arrow.
Star City 2046.
Yeah, we get to see Future Ollie, who pretty much straight
who
out
is
of Dark Knight Returns.
he's presumed dead for like 15 years. Because of Grant Wilson, which is Slade Wilson's son, Deathstroke's son, who's taking up the mantle of Deathstroke. When he came to Star City and started causing riots and basically taking over and everything, Oliver kind of retired because all his friends got killed.
Yeah.
Felicity got killed, Diggle got killed.
Diggle, that leaves us with Diggle Jr., who took over
John
the
Diggle
mantle-
Jr.
took over the mantle of Green Arrow. He's also took the name of Connor Hawk.
Because the reason he took the name Connor Hawk is because he didn't feel worthy of his father's name because he failed to protect his.
Felt responsible for his dad's death.
Right. So Sarah and Rip find Oliver, who's grown a beard and is missing an arm, his left arm.
which is straight out of the Dark Knight Returns comic book.
But
Which is celebrating its 30th anniversary, by the way. Congrats.
Oliver has a robotic arm, and he becomes Green Arrow.
I heard that.
And they end up saving Connor Hawke, who's about ready to get his head chopped off by Deathstroke.
Deathstroke
Yeah, Deathstroke Jr.
Junior. Good Junior.
Yeah.
Eyes on the wrong side.
Let's see. And basically, Oliver gives Connor his blessing at being Green Arrow because Star City will always need a Green Arrow, just like Gotham City will always need a Batman.
Come on, Terry McGinnis in Legends of Tomorrow. Tell me you don't want to see Terry McGinnis,
Right, yes.
McGinnis in Legends of Tomorrow. That would be
I've seen
awesome.
fan-created costumes
Yes, that would be
made
amazing.
out of the Batman Begins suit.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that would be awesome. So, what else we got?
Well, first, I would rate that episode maybe a 5.
5? I'd go a little higher. Again, I'll give better reviews once I've seen the episode. I'm going to give it a 5.
And that's simply because I didn't care for the way they portrayed Connor Hawke. Connor Hawke should be a completely different person.
Or his son.
Right.
They wanted to make it, I understand, they wanted to make an original character, they wanted to tie it to Diggle somehow.
Right.
So,
But I also didn't like how they gave Oliver a robotic arm.
should have left it as just cut off, I agree. That's what 5.5.
Yeah.
Because it was still pretty cool to see a future
Right. All right.
version of Arrow.
On to Supernatural. I'm a big Supernatural fan. I used to be a paranormal investigator.
I stopped after the first season or 2. So.
Supernatural is really getting good because now they've got to find a way to get rid of the darkness, which is God's sister.
Isn't that every episode? Or every season?
Kind of. But this is God's sister, so they're pretty much fighting God.
Who died in this episode? Which one of the brothers?
No one died.
Sorry. There's a pattern.
This episode actually did guest star WWE's The Miz.
Well, The Miz was in it?
The Miz was in
The
it,
Miz was in that episode?
and he got killed.
Well, that's just awesome! Perfect setup, don't steal it.
Another wrestler, an old wrestler, commits suicide, they think, and ends up being a supernatural related type deal.
No, you don't say.
But Sam and Dean go to the funeral because they were huge fans of this wrestler. Their dad was a huge fan of this wrestler. So they go to pay their respects. Dean basically becomes a fanboy and geeks out over all these professional wrestlers and everything.
Was he the only one that showed up? The Miz?
Yeah, The Miz was the only professional wressler, I believe.
Probably maybe some indie guys.
Yeah. It turns out that all these wrestlers are being killed because they made deals with the demon. Crossroads demon.
King?
No, not Kane.
Oh, okay.
They made deals with this demon who's now collecting so that he has a bunch of souls to use against the darkness whenever the darkness starts waging war.
Which is God's daughter.
God's sister.
God's sister.
Yes. God and his angels imprison the darkness in order to create Earth. God is the light. The darkness is the darkness.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sam and Dean team up with this wrestler, Lawless, who tells them what's been going on, and Lawless decides to turn on the demon, who's been having him collect the souls for him, and kills the demon, and they end the episode with the Hellhounds coming for him.
Now, this wrestler Lawless, they should have brought in Sid Justice.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have. But also in the episode, Lucifer searches for another hand of God. Lucifer now is taking over Castiel's body. And he's searching for another hand of God in order to use against the darkness. He has Crowley, who used to be the king of hell, in chains, cleaning hell's floors with a toothbrush. But during this part, Lucifer goes over and takes the toothbrush away from Crowley, makes him clean the floor with his tongue, has him down on all four, calls him his doggy. Crowley is Lucifer's doggy.
Don't laugh, Hitler has to clean his toilets with his tongue.
Crowley eventually escapes because he got help from another demon who ends up turning on Crowley. It was all this thing put together by Lucifer to find the other hand of God, which turns out to be the Rod of Aaron. Don't laugh.
That's what she said.
Which whenever they find the Rod of Aaron, there's all these jokes that Crowley makes about. He tells the demon, "You can't handle my rod," and all these other things.
Time for a Supernatural Walking Dead crossover. Hey, Jesus.
So anyway, the demon, Lucifer reveals that the demon was actually working for Lucifer the entire time, even though the demon had told Crowley that there were still people who were loyal to Crowley. And Crowley's got the Rod of Aaron in his hand. Yeah. And he goes to use it. He goes to use it on Lucifer, but the demon jumps in the way and gets disintegrated. With Crowley's rod.
That's a hell of a rod. See what I did there?
Yeah. When Crowley goes to use the rod on Lucifer, he shoots blanks.
Isn't that the way, ladies?
So he says, Lucifer makes some comment about it. Apparently you used up all your rod's power, and gets ready to attack Crowley, and throws him back or whatever over a table. And when Lucifer goes over to finish the job on Crowley, Crowley's gone. So now Lucifer can't use the Rod of Aaron.
And he has nobody to clean his floors.
Yeah. Poor Lucifer.
Hitler, IL-3.
I would give this episode, simply because of the Rod jokes. The Rod jokes alone deserve it a solid 6. The rest of the episode, I would give maybe a 4.
Oh, your basic Supernatural episode.
Right.
Question, should the series end? They're past what? They're
Yeah.
past 7.
If they're going to end Supernatural, they need to at least have God show up, because this whole series has been about angels and demons. We've seen Lucifer, we've seen, all this stuff. God's gone missing. He's
in the hospital because he got knocked by a bunch of hockey demons playing skee-ball.
I would like to see Supernatural go 12th season.
So they're on season 11 now.
Yes, they surpassed Smallville.
Yes, they did.
I would like to see them go on to season 12, just to wrap everything up.
What about a nice Evil 13?
Yeah, that'd be good too. Maybe have God show up in season 13. That looks like the route they might take.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many times that Sam and Dean can die and come back.
Apparently not.
They're Kenny.
Oh my God! You kill him again. At this point.
There was one episode before the Trickster died, where Trickster was screwing with Sam, and he just kept killing Dean off like hundreds of times.
So, yeah. There's also another show that I'm really liking right now. We're not going to review it in this episode. Lucifer.
I've been meaning to catch that. Based on the DC
Yeah.
Vertigo comic book
Right.
series, who also appeared, if you're a big Neil Gaiman Sandman fan, he's appeared in many issues of that. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that.
Lucifer is basically your typical cop buddy drama.
He gave up hell. He doesn't want to be the King of Hell anymore. He wants to just
But
hear.
but God wants him to go back to hell, but he can't make him.
Right.
And
He just can't come back to heaven.
the way they portray Lucifer in this show, I've felt forever that's how the actual, if Lucifer actually exists, that's how he would be.
That's on what station?
Fox, I believe.
How many episodes in?
We are, I believe, 5 episodes
5
in.
episodes in. I'll have to check Hulu. It might still be on there. Gotham's not back yet. Gotham returns next week, this Monday.
Mr. Freeze.
They're introducing Mr. Freeze. I think it's a big mistake, but I'm interested in seeing it. I'm all caught up right now. So we'll catch on that next week.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anything else?
Not unless you watch iZombie. I don't.
Not
I
yet.
caught the first few episodes.
We're
Can't really get into it.
We're going to go back. We're going to watch the first season. Try to. And I got to get the phone. Store phone. Be right back to close. Good.
Alright, so thanks you guys for tuning in to Comicgeddon this week.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was. Hopefully we can do this weekly, depending on viewership, and depending on time.
If you like it, subscribe, comment, share on Facebook.
It'll be featured on both of our channels, Geeking Out Comics and my own personal Shannon Cornthwaite channel.
You can, if you have any questions about my store here at 2924 North Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Decatur,
What was that?
Illinois. 2924 North Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Decatur, Illinois. You can find me on Facebook at Geeking Out Comics. Look for the storefront, not the Green Lantern logo. Email at geekingoutcomics@yahoo.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, message me on the website at geekingoutcomics.com.
He even occasionally comments on comicmovie.com. Me as well. I'm Lantern Storm on there.
I am Iron Lantern 79 on there.
Anything else?
No, until next week, don't take Daryl and Carol out to watch the flowers. Where Jesus behind you.